And for the chalice lighting, I'd like to ask Lisa to come up to light our chalice while I read. These words, "A Fire in the Universe," are by Sean Trapp. Our chalice reminds us of that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of the void is vast, and our experience here is but a blip in the cosmic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness and our short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply, with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we've ever known. Thank you, Dick. And I just remembered that we have set things up now with lowering numbers in the pandemic, that the speaker up front, if you're vaccinated and comfortable, feel free to remove your mask while you're up here in a safe space from others. So at this time, we're going to read our UUFE covenant together. You can find that inside your order of service. All right, so inside the order of service, you'll find our covenant, and we will all read that together aloud. At the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Easton, we seek to nurture spiritual and intellectual growth for all ages, and to be actively involved in community outreach and service, cherishing diversity and celebrating our oneness with humanity. We covenant to support each other in the spirit of compassion, respect, and love. And now for this morning's meditation, I'd like to share with you an excerpt from In Blackwater Woods by Mary Oliver. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go. And now for the joys and sorrows. One of the ways that we express warmth and caring in this community is by recognizing our personal joys and sorrows and the milestones in our lives. At this time, I invite you to come forward and briefly name that which lies in your heart. If you prefer, you may also light a candle in silence. And if you are joining us by Zoom and you'd like to share something in chat, I'm happy to share that with the group if you wish. I will light this first candle in honor of all the ways in which lives remain affected by this pandemic. People on Zoom, anyone else? For the joys and sorrows that have been shared and those that remain in the sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. And now Dick will share with us main. Thank you, Dick. So when planning today's service with a theme of strife, strength, and love, it was the perfect setup to hear poetry that people in this fellowship have selected, some poetry which people, it's a unique and special way to hear those messages that come from the heart and speak to what we as humans make our way through during life with some of the larger challenges we face, and then how we let our guard down later, how we celebrate and find that peace and love, which hopefully all of us at some point and hopefully many times in our lives will find. So today we have a fun and inspiring list of poems that people have submitted to read, and there is an insert in your order of service of those poems. There are a couple people who were had hoped to share today and are not going to be able to, And then we will also have time for people to come up and read poems that they brought from home and may not be on the list. So first, I'd like to start with Bozena Lamparska, who's going to share a little song by Langston Hughes, which then inspired the song Lonely. And feel free to pull your mask if you'd like.
I've always been a Langston Hughes fan, I have to say. And this poem in particular, considering what we've been through the past couple of years and the isolation, it just hit me. Lonely people in the lonely night grab a lonely dream and hold it tight. Lonely people in the lonely day work to solve their dreams away.
Thank you, Bozena. And now Eve Drostin would like to read the poem The Tale of Custer the Dragon by Ogden Nash.
Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little gray mouse, and a little yellow dog, and a little red dragon, and a really a truly little pet dragon. Now the name of the little black kitten was Pink, and the little gray mouse she was called Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was a cow, and she called him Custard. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath. Mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and really a truly daggers on his head. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bear, and Ink and Blink chased mine downstairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cried for a nice sleep. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmercifully. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they rudely called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red bag at the really and truly cowardly dragon. Belinda giggled till she shook the house. Aunt Blind said, "Read, which is giggling for a mouse." Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age, when Custard cried for a nice safe sleep. Suddenly, they heard a nasty sound. The Mustard growled, and they all looked around. "Youch!" cried Ink, and "Ooh!" cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. Belinda paled. She cried, "Help, help!" But Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the house, and a little mouse, Blink, was strategically mouseful. But up jumped Custard, swimming like an engine, flashed his tail like irons in a dungeon. With a clatter and a clank and a jingling storm, he went at the pirate like a robin at a hole. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon, and gulps and glops the flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit. Custard gobbled them, every bit. Belinda embraced him. Mustard licked him. No one mourned for his pirate victim. Ink and Blink and Glee did gyrate around the dragon that ate the pirate. Belinda still lives in the little white house with her little black kitten and the little gray mouse, and her little yellow dog and her little red dragon, and her really, truly a little pet dragon. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bear, and Ink and Blink chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard keeps crying for secrets.
And that Tale of Custer the Dragon is by Ogden Nash. Now we have Colorful by the Verge Pipe by
Okay. Christina always knows I can never refuse her anything. For many of, I don't know for you, but for me, the best poetry is often found with music, because music just speaks to me. And this is a song by Brian Vander Ark and called Colorful. And these are the words to it. I urge you to go listen to the song sometime when you can, because it's beautifully rendered. But, and it's one that speaks to me a lot. People have no idea how wonderful you've been for me in the time that I've been part of this community. The show is over. Close the storybook. There will be no encore. And all the random hands that I have shook, well, they're reaching for the door. I watch the backs as they leave. You stood stubborn all along. I know I can be colorful. I know I can be gray. I know this loser's living fortunate, because I know you will love me either way. Most were being good for goodness sake, but you wouldn't pantomime. You are more beautiful when you awake than most are in a lifetime. Through the haze that is my memory, you stayed for drama, though you paid for a comedy. I know I can be colorful. I know I can be gray. I know this loser's living fortunate, because I know you will love me either way. Look ahead as far as you can see. We live in a drama, but we die in a comedy. I know I can be colorful when you live in black and white. I know I can be gray. My colors fade away. I know this loser's living fortunate, because I know you will love me either way.
Thank you, Doug. And now Lisa Berry is going to share May You by Mara Healy.
Hello, everyone. This poem in particular helps me through my darkest days. I appreciate you all taking the time to listen, and may this poem resonate with you on your journey. When the world has left you weary with unworthiness and shame, when your road is paved with memories of deep, unending pain, when you stumble as you try, my love, and getting up is tough, may you know how much you matter. May you know you are enough. When the weight of all your wounding feels impossible to bear, when you try to breathe the hurt away, but can't come up for air, when giving up feels justified, when you've gone the final length, may you know how very brave you are. May you release your strength. When the world outside feels scary, when it feels too much to take, when you long to see the good in life beyond this painful ache, when you feel as though you're broken or you're damaged or you're wrong, may you know how much you're needed here. May you feel like you belong. When the voice within turns hostile, criticizing all you do, when it tells you you're inadequate just for being you, when it laughs and taunts and ridicules, when it bullies you with lies, may you see how very wrong it is. Can't see the words now. May you rise and rise and rise. What I know, my love, so deeply is that you're a precious soul. And while you may not always feel it, you are already whole. Your scars do not define you. You're so much more than your past. And however dark things get, dear one, you know that it won't last. Because every precious moment, every single breath you take is a chance to start again, my love, to live your life awake. To remember who you are, dear one, to know your love, your light, to journey home to presence and to live with all your might. So please, my darling, feel your breath. Remember you're alive. Release, let go, and start again as each new breath arrives. For as long as you are breathing and as long as life force flows, there is something to hold on to. There is life and love and hope. Thank you.
And I would like to invite Rob Reading, a dear friend who's here, a good friend of ours from North Carolina this weekend, and was kind enough to share some original poems.
Morning. Thank you all for having us in your congregation today, and especially for Michelle and Christina and Eve having us in their home. It's been a great weekend. Somewhere along the weekend, I let Christina know that I rarely pass up a chance to speak into a microphone. So I'm here today to share some stuff that I wrote the past couple of years. A lot of transition in my own life. This first piece is called I Wanted to Write About Life Today. I always knew I'd come to the end and think, oh my, all those years wasted, staring death in the mouth, peeking from the womb. It's the visceral thump of running over a dead dog on a 3 a.m. country road. Transmission jammed on this earth, my heart into the firewall. No change in the beating. It may be that neither was more dead than the other. There was this pool in the driveway filled with gray tree frog tadpoles, thousands after the storm, weeks. I filled it each day with water from a hose. Tiny as I was, because they were alive and I loved them. Even this little world created by tire ruts in the mud. Even when we have to play God for a while. It was dead when I hit it, but it doesn't matter. It would have been soon enough, and the thud would have sounded the same. And this is the part where my phone jams most of the time, so cross your fingers. This piece is called Holy Places at Night. This is not about an ending. There are no meteors shooting towards an unreachable horizon, no aurora shimmering, climbing, falling again. There's no mirror in the sweet scent of decay, no shivering stone awaiting my words. We carry our lives in our pockets, our love on strings tied in knots, tattered around our necks, pulled down by the weight of urgency, of being, without remembering to breathe on our best days. We carry arms full of bergamot and asters into buildings with spires and pools that cool our feet. Stand tall in white, spectacled in sunlight, rainbow projections beaming through windows where hummingbirds crash like true believers. This is not about a beginning. We set out so many times on paths worn in grass, from porch steps, from kitchens where we hold each other. We walk next to each other along roadways, our hands in our pockets, forgetting what a touch means. This is about the lives we make and lives made for us. There is no shame in the wanting or holding the hand of a dreamer too long. There's no weakness in trying. It's a fair distance from where we stand now, or as close as our next breath.
Thank you, Rob. And Jean Tereby would like to share The Low Road by Mark Piercy.
What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. Alone you can fight, you can refuse, you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own, 10 million your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more.
Thank you, Jane. And Dave Moore is going to share Winter Nights by Robert Bly.
I chose my selection passed away in November past years. He was 94, so he had a pretty good run of things. He was famous among many things as being a founder of the American Writers Against the Vietnam War. In 1968, he donated all of his money from his National Book Award to the cause of assisting draft resistors. He's also famous, and if not a little infamous, for the book Iron John, which started the men's movement in search of deeper masculinity, which was kind of a reaction to the women's movement. So I chose this sort of randomly, but it seemed to fit. Winter nights, how easily the winter nights urge us on to sink deep into sleep, and once down, roll over and over on the floor of night. 45 dreamers crowd into our bed. At night, 40 of them don't belong there. The other 5 are repeating dreamers. How easily the winter nights urge us on to abandon the bedposts and go to sea looking for the island Robinson Crusoe never found. How many days we stand on the deck, surrounded by drunken seamen and old ropes, trying to recall the port we were sailing to. It is so easy to give thanks to the night. We give thanks to our bones for stretching out and feel gratitude to our little toes. You know what it's like. At midnight, the bar closes, the tables are stacked together, and all the drunkards are thrown out.
Thank you, Dave. So Topher is going to share with us as a Zoom participant today.
Test the technology one more time.
All right, Topher, do you want to check our audio for a sec?
Sure. Testing, testing. Can you all hear me? Hopefully you all can hear me.
Oh, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I think I am unmuted. Can you hear? I'll try one more time. Can you hear me now? Okay. The Zoomers can hear me, which is great. Solidarity amongst the Zoomers.
All right. Zoomers are now represented. Go for it, Topher.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. This is a poem called The Meaning of Life by Nancy Fitzgerald. There is a moment just before a dog vomits, when its stomach heaves dry, pumping what's deep inside the belly to the mouth. If you are fast, you can grab her by the collar and shove her out the door, avoid the slimy bile, hunks of half-chewed food from landing on the floor. You must be quick, decisive, controlled, and if you miss the cue and the dog erupts en route, you must forgive her quickly and give yourself to scrubbing up the mess. Most of what I have learned in life leads back to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Topher. We look forward to getting to know you more. And now I'd like to invite Laura Winne, who has a special poem to share with us.
Well, I'm not really sure how you beat the puking dog because I gotta say that was pretty awesome. So I chose two poems. They're fairly brief. And the reason I did so is they make a wonderful pairing. And it being Black History Month, I thought it would be interesting to look at two different perspectives of America. The first one, well, I'm sure many of you are familiar with both, but the first one is I Hear America Singing by Walt Whitman. And the second one is by Langston Hughes, and it's called I Too Sing America. So here we go with Walt Whitman. And just kind of as a caveat to the timeline, we have to remember that slavery was abolished in 1865, and he was born in 1900. So he was still a fairly young man when he wrote this poem. I Hear America each one singing his as it should be, blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song, the plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown. The delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or the girl sewing or washing. Each singing what belongs to him or her and to none else. The day what belongs to the day. At night, the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious song. So I think it's important to keep in perspective the time frame, and that a white man was able to sing America roughly 30 years after the abolishment of slavery, right? And so here we go to the next one, which is I Too Sing America by Langston Hughes, who was born in 1901 and died in 1967 and lived long enough to see desegregation in America. But the Loving case was still being processed at the time of his death. I, too, sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'd like to invite Tina Jones, who has a piece to read.
Good morning again. Christina asked me to do this. I responded, well, I'm not much on poetry, but I'll give it a try. And this week was actually fairly challenging for the one reason you heard earlier, but there's a group of us that are trying to do something good for this community, and it got some pushback this week. It made me reflect and feel bad and actually at night. And then I remembered this assignment, and I went searching for a poem of self-love and found this one written by Raina Biddy, who is a young African-American spoken word poet out of LA. It's not titled, but it just seemed perfect, and it was certainly perfect. Accept yourself as a work in progress and continue to build yourself into the person you're dreaming to be, the person you have all the potential to be. Accept your flaws, accept your truths, accept your past, and make light of them. No one can tear you down if you make peace with who you are and where you've been. If you're going to focus on the negative at all, focus on turning them into positives. Focus on growing. Sometimes, oftentimes, our minds are the scariest place to sit. It'll trick you into comparing yourself to others, and it'll trick you into believing you aren't good enough. But you are, you always have been, and you always will be. You're much more powerful when you believe in yourself. If you don't, you love all of you, you give yourself time to blossom. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Please come on up, Bobbie, if you have something to share. No.
Well, I have two short poems that I wrote. One is called The Wolf of Life, and it is sort of related to this strife, strength, and love theme of today. I wrote this when one of my sons, my friend's sons died. But it's pertinent for any kind of loss of someone near and dear to you, whether it's through a dissolution of a relationship, loss of a child or a spouse or a partner. So, the wolf of life. When you were born or came along into my life, you caught my heart unguarded. Your name was etched upon my soul, every detail my love recorded.
the silken hair at nape of neck, your tone of voice and silhouette were miracles of my discovery. My open heart was not defended when the wolf of life went hunting. It leapt upon me hot and fierce, and cruelly rent with jagged tears, a gaping wound, torn and bleeding, that left me weeping on my knees. When the blood had finally staunched, and the scabs had come and gone, I found the wolf had left the gift. Upon my heart there is a scar, forever tender. When I touch it, I surrender to my love for you. A little bit somber there. And then this week on the shore, it's been a waxing and a waning moon, and it's been the winter moons. It's very bright out because there's no humidity. The leaves are gone. And I wrote this one night. I've been awake several times this week and looked out the window. I'm like, wow, it's bright out. So this is called After Bedtime. Moon diva, full of herself. Silver shining siren slides through ink-etched trees, whose limbs reach for heaven like a gospel choir in the throes of a hallelujah. So much light this winter night keeps the dreamer stirring. The cornfield Canada are restless too, playing peekaboo, honk, I see you, as a stealthy shadow fox, tummy a rumble, gold glinting on red, plots a midnight snack.
Do we have others who have brought a piece of poetry they'd like to share? So I'm going to share a poem by Amanda Gorman, who I think wowed us all at the inauguration last year. And this is from her book, Call Us What We Carry. This poem is back to the past. At times, even blessings will bleed us. There are some who lost their lives and those who are lost from ours, who we might now re-enter, all our someones summoned softly. The closest we get to time travel is our fears softening, our hurts and hurts unclenching, as we become more akin to kin, as we return to who we were before we actually were anything or anyone. That is, when we were born unheeding and unhindered, howling wetly, with everything we could yet become. To travel back in time is to remember. Ourselves love. And I want to check on there's a lot of chat activity here. I want to make sure if there's anybody in the Zoom group who wishes to share. Someone's waving. All right, Nancy. So let's do this. Okay, so Nancy, you unmute yourself. Go for it.
Good morning. Can you hear me? So we're back to Mary Oliver again.
I can hear you, Nancy.
You can hear me? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give
So
you
I love Mary Oliver's poetry, and I'm reading Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, Topher, for putting the printed word in chat for people to access that way as well. Do we have anybody else who would like to share? So I want to express a sincere thanks to everybody who shared today, whether it's through their own poetry or those who have opened up their hearts to that vulnerable space that poetry has touched, and for sharing musical talent. Thank you. We'll take a minute here before we end our service for board announcements. We have Lima requests from the board.
Hello again. What a great day to be here. Wow. Just a few things to share with you. Just remember that this month the donations to our local organization is to BAM. Adina Daly spoke a while back this month. It's such a deserving organization with such great ideals, and just give generously to them, please. Up and coming, the Social Justice Pod is offering a 2-part course titled Gender Spectrum and How to Be a Better Ally. It may be taken in person beginning March 6th or on Zoom beginning March 10th. Please see the UUFE newsletter for more details and a link to register, or you can contact Emily Cranwell with that. That seems like a really interesting thing. This afternoon from 4 to 5:30 is the discussion of Stacey Abrams' book, Our Time Is Now. So if you'd like to, they're going to have a UUFE, UUCR discussion on the book and do this on Zoom. A quick note, our Strategic Planning Task Force is reaching out to a number of people active in different parts of UUFE to dream of how we can live into our new mission and vision. And they're working with the Worship Committee and also getting perspective from Children's RE. And Lori Woods is the lead for the Children's RE perspective. And Linda Wilcox is for fellowship.
Right, and all the other groups are listed in prior newsletters. Contact people for that.
Okay, so look in prior UUFE newsletters or look on the website for people that you can contact to get involved with that. It's so important to our organization as we move forward and have people live their dreams with UUFE as well. And I believe that's it. And I do want to give a shout out to Dick for playing Oh What a Beautiful Morning. It's going to remind me to go home and say, Alexa, play me, whatever musical, and I'm just going to do some singing. Thank you.
In closing, I'd like to share the words by Cynthia Landrum. Be true, be well, be loving. We leave this other community, but we won't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and our faith continues. Until we be well, be true, and be loving. And I will extinguish the chalice, and Dick will share with us Largo from opera Circus by Handel.